Good afternoon, seeing you. Today, what we are going to read is a book called M is for Maryland. And as you could see, I am wearing on a Maryland shirt. And I'm not from Maryland, but I am a big fan of the state because it's so close to us here in DC. The author of M is for Maryland is Miss Carla Golemday. Carla Golemday. Let's open the book and start reading. So the first page, if you turn, it should look like this with the beautiful state capital of Maryland. A is for Annapolis. Annapolis is the capital of Maryland. The governor and the General Assembly work there to create the laws that everyone in the state lives by. The General Assembly is made up of the Senate and the House of Delegates. A is for azaleas. Azaleas bloom in bright pink and red and purple and white in Maryland in the spring. B is for black-eyed Susan, the state flower. Black-eyed Susans grow in gardens and fields along roadsides throughout the state. B is also for Baltimore, which was named for Lord Baltimore, who governed Maryland in colonial times. C is for crabs and the Chesapeake. Maryland blue crabs come from the Chesapeake Bay. Blue crabs are the state crustacean and are a wonderful food. Maryland sells more blue crabs to families and restaurants than any other state. Sometimes they are made into crab cakes, which are delicious. You should be on the page that says D. D is for Frederick Douglass, who was a great orator and African American leader. He was born in Easton. He fought against slavery all of his life. D is also for Deep Creek Lake, Maryland's largest inland body of water. It's located in Garrett County. It was formed by a dam which provides electrical power. Deep Creek Lake covers 4,000 acres. It's a great place for boating, fishing, and camping. E is for the Eastern Shore. That's the part of Maryland between the Chesapeake Bay and the ocean. If you explore the Eastern Shore, you will find many small towns and fishing villages, marshes, and wildlife areas. Farmers grow melons, corn, strawberries, soybeans, and vegetables there. Oysters, crabs, and fish live in the waters of the Eastern Shore. F is for flag. The state flag of Maryland depicts the coat of arms of the Calvert family, which governed Maryland when it was an English colony. Cecil Calvert was also called Lord Baltimore. The King of England, Charles I, appointed him to rule Maryland during the colonial times. G is for Glen Echo Park. In 1891, Glen Echo began as a Chautauqua, a place where people could learn about art, science, and literature. By 1900, it was an amusement park. In 1971, it became a national park. On its grounds is the Densel Carousel, which is hand-carved and was built in 1921. It has 40 horses, 4 rabbits, 4 ostriches, a giraffe, a deer, and a lion. Which animal would you like to ride on? H is for historic St. Mary City, which was the first capital of Maryland before Annapolis. St. Mary City is located in southern Maryland. It was the first place in America where people could attend whatever place of worship they chose, helping to establish our nation's tradition of freedom and religion. Today, it is a living history and archaeological museum and a national historic landmark. Going to I, you should be on I. It should be this page with the beautiful Inner Harbor of Baltimore. I is for Inner Harbor. Many office buildings, shops, hotels, and restaurants line Baltimore's Inner Harbor. The Maryland Science Center, Port Discovery, the Baltimore Maritime Museum, and the National Aquarium are there too. Events at the stadiums at Camden Yards and the Convention Center bring lots of visitors to the Inner Harbor. The water taxis take passengers all along the Inner Harbor to its historic Fells Point. There are many other wonderful museums in Baltimore, such as the Maryland Historical Society and the U.B. Blake National Jazz Institute and Cultural Center. Turn to your next page. J is for jousting, the official sport of Maryland. Jousters are people who ride horses towards each other and try to knock each other down with a long, pointed pole called a lance. Jousting was a form of dangerous combat performed by knights hundreds of years ago. Today you can see jousting for fun at the Maryland Renaissance Fair every fall and at the State Jousting Championships held from August through October. Now we are on K. Oh, I wonder what this page could be about. K is for Francis Scott Key, who was born in Frederick, who was inspired to write the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1814, after the British bombed Fort McHenry in an attempt to capture Baltimore, they did not succeed. Congress adopted the song as our national anthem in 1931. The Star-Spangled Banner Flag House, where Mary Pickersgill made the flag that Scott Key wrote about, is located in Baltimore. L is for lock, a section of waterway closed off with gates. There are 74 locks on the C&O Canal between Georgetown in Washington, D.C. and Cumberland, Maryland. The canal was completed in 1850. Each lock raised the water level by 8 feet so that boats going over the waterfalls on the Potomac River could travel on a safe, steady waterway. L is also for locomotives. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was the first one of the Western Hemisphere to carry both freight and passengers. Let's go to the next page. M is for Maryland. Oh wow, you can see Maryland right here, and here's DC. M is for Maryland. The seventh state to enter the Union on April 28, 1788. The state bird is the Baltimore Oriole. The state boat is the Shipjack. Many accomplished people from all walks of life come from Maryland. Do you know from whom Maryland is named? Oh, we have to see Q to find that out. N is for the United States Naval Academy located in Annapolis. The Naval Academy is a 4-year college that has trained young people to become professional officers in the United States Navy and Marine Corps since 1845. Students study the same subjects they would at any college, but also learn the aspects of seamanship and leadership. Graduates are called midshipmen or middies. The Naval Academy has a museum with art and modeled ships and objects that relate to the traditions and history of the Navy. Going on to the next page for O. O is for Ocean City. When it gets really hot, many people head to the famous town on the Atlantic Ocean. The boardwalk there is always crowded and lively. From the top of the Ferris wheel, you could see way out over the ocean to the horizon. And the best part is playing in the waves and picnicking on the beach. Everything tastes better at the ocean. P is for the Potomac River. The river is 400 miles long and flows from the mountains of West Virginia along the Maryland-Virginia border, through Washington, D.C., and back into Maryland, where it meets the Chesapeake Bay at Point Lookout. There are many national parks and historic places along the river, including Harpers Ferry National Historic Park, the C&O Canal with many locks, and Great Falls. There are lots of places along the river to fish or kayak or hike. Q is for Queen Henrietta Maria, who was the wife of King Charles I of England. In 1632, Charles signed the charter for the Calvert family to establish Maryland. In honor of the king, the Calverts named it for Henrietta Maria. Next page. R is for Babe Ruth, one of the greatest baseball players who ever lived. He grew up in Baltimore and was from a poor family. The first team he played for was the Baltimore Orioles. He broke all records for home runs, batted in, runs scored, and bases scored. During his career, he hit 714 homers. The Babe Ruth birthplace and Orioles Museum is in Baltimore. S is for sailing. On a sunny, breezy day, the Chesapeake Bay is full of boats of every size, shape, and color. When you sail past the buoys, you might see osprey nesting in them. And you may also see, I wonder what we may see on the next page. T is for Thomas Point Lighthouse. You may also see the lighthouse, which is located on Thomas Point Shoals near the South River. It is a funny shape. It is a cottage-style screw-pile lighthouse from 1875 to 1986. It was operated by a person who lived in it. Now a computer runs it. Can you imagine living there surrounded by the sea? Oh, imagine living there with all this water. U is for USS Constellation, the last surviving Civil War ship and the last warship that the U.S. Navy built that used only sails and no engines. She was launched in 1854. The Constellation has been restored and docked in the Inner Harbor. U is also for umbrella. The first umbrella factory in the nation opened in Baltimore in 1828. Going on to this page, we are almost there. Oops. V is for American Visionary Art Museum, which is located in Baltimore. Many artists whose work is shown there never went to art school. All the work is very professional about dreams and feelings. Most of the artists use bright colors. Outside, there is a huge whirligig, a big sculpture made out of tree limbs that you can climb into, and there's a car covered with beads. Two other great art museums in Baltimore are the Baltimore Museum of Art and the Walters Art Gallery. Going on to this page right here. W is for War Between the States, which is another name for the Civil War. Though Maryland sided with the Union, which was the United States, it was a border state during the Civil War. Battles between the Northern and the Southern armies were fought in Maryland at South Mountain, Antietam, and Monocacy. You can visit these famous battlefields. X is for xylophone. Xylophones, drums, and folk instruments from all over the world can be found at the House of Musical Traditions, a store in Tacoma Park. HMT, which stands for House of Musical Traditions, gives lessons and sponsors concerts. It has been a Tacoma Park landmark since 1972. Y is for you. U is for you. Are here. On the map, you can find Maryland by following the arrows. Maryland is on the east coast of the United States in the Mid-Atlantic region. And finally, Z is for Zippy and Zoe. They are my cats. They live with me in Silver Spring, Maryland. They are both very affectionate and really smart when they are not chasing the fireflies, opening the cabinets, or hiding my keys. They like to sit on my work table and watch me paint and write. They are here now. So these are the author's cats right here. Thank you. I enjoyed reading with you, and I want you to let me know later on today what the author's purpose was.